First person up is got it. Meeting's in progress. Okay, Jeff, you're up. This is you're up multiple times, so this is just your South Texas report.
All right, so can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so I don't have really anything from the South Texas end of it. All mine is mainly the Valero bike ride to the river, and just a ham report from Bike Around the Bay.
Okay.
But I do have plenty of slides. So you thought you were gonna have a short meeting? Wrong. So you want me to get going?
Okay, I didn't know about the Valero bike to the river, but I got you down for Bike Around the Bay. I'll go ahead and stop sharing. You can have the screen.
Okay. So let's click on this one here. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
See?
No, you gotta share.
Wait a minute. I thought I did. Okay, be that way. How about now?
Yeah, we got something. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so I should have shown this last month, but
Wow.
we had something else to do. The Valero ride to the river used to be bike to the beach. Used to start in San Antonio somewhere and go down to Corpus Christi and finish right next door to the Lexington when it was anchored there. But they stopped doing that probably 10 years ago, and this is the first time that I had done this bike ride since the first Valero ride to the river. And the river they're talking about is the Comal River there in New Braunfels. So they start at a different location, but they end up both days at the fairgrounds there in Comal County. My assignment for this event was supply driver 1B, 1 being the rest stop on the first day, B being the rest stop on the second day. Unlike the last bike ride that I did where I was supply driver, I was the supply driver on that one. This one I was just one of I think 7. Why didn't that go down? All right. So how many have seen these wristbands that let you into your hotel room? This is the first time that I had seen one of these. Don't mind that shaving cut there. That's what I do for a living. So anyway, instead of having these keys that you pass in front of the door, now you just wave this thing in front of the door, and it's waterproof, so you can go swimming at the fancy park there in New Braunfels. And so everybody wore these the whole weekend. They put us up in that water park, and it was just wonderful. My very first experience with this. This is the layout for my first rest stop. And even though I was not the rest stop manager, I certainly had the most experience at doing this. So I kind of became the manager, and I managed everything except for the volunteers. I managed the volunteer manager, and then he managed his volunteers. It was a very good layout from wherever you put all the stuff. I was the first one there. This is my little bitty supply truck. It had 2 days worth of supplies on there. My rest stop was at a school, an elementary school. Here's the porta potties. You remember on the last bike ride, there's only one porta potty at every rest stop. This one here, I guess we had about 8. Here is when the riders first got there, coming up the embankment, and we had barely got our cones out set up before they got there. As I am one of those persons that at the bike ride, I create what's called a food court, and I don't allow bikes into the food court area. This is a walking area and mingling area, not a stand in line with your bike between your legs like you'll see in a minute. But set up very nicely by these young kids from the youth group that's from San Antonio. The very first rider there was this police officer that you see He was very. I think he left early. He kind of overweight, and he didn't look as fast as the other guys that were there in the previous picture. But he got there. The second picture just shows continues with showing the setup of the rest stop with all the signs. That will be a new standard for even the Texas MS 150. Here are the cones that control the riders. You can see on the left, our medical team. And our ham radio guy is the guy in the blue shirt, and our medical lady is the gal in the red shirt. And of course, they're using the new across the society colors that are to be worn everywhere. On the left, it shows it shows our bike shop. I had meant to get him in better. So you see, we use there are no bikes inside the area, the food court area. They're all outside those trash cans, which hack a lot of people off, but that's the way it is. I'm just preparing you for when you get to Houston. I'm sure this is the only rest stop the whole day that had a food court. Except for rider number 218. He had to bring his bike inside. He had to sneak it in and stand there with his bike. And as soon as you said something to him, he'd go, "Oh, I didn't see those cones. Sorry." We had plenty of pickle pops. Those that have done bike rides know what a favorite the pickle pops are, and usually they're in huge demand. This one we had boxes and boxes and boxes of them. And our volunteers even will cut the top off of it for you. You hold your pickle pop and we'll cut the top off for you. And on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, it showed the arrival of some of the folks that were on three-wheelers, and they all have MS. 1, 2, 3, should be 4 people in that picture. There are 4 people in that picture, and they all 4 ride with MS. They're part of that bike group. This is our group that ran this rest stop. And this was the very last rider. She was also the oldest rider at 93 years old. She had one leg that was, she has MS, and she had one leg that would not operate. And so when she had to get up, we had to help her out of her bike to go into the restroom or do anything else. She could sit down just fine, but then she had to have help getting her leg up over the middle bar. And then after that, she was just fine. 93 years old. At the end of the day, I gave my usual speech to these kids that told them that we hope that today's experience made them volunteers for life. That's the idea of getting these youth out there, and we think that will happen with some of them. This smallest kid right here in the middle, in the blue shirt, he said, "Mister, how old are you?" I said, "I'm 63 years old." He says, "Dang, you're older than my mom." It's like, am I supposed to shake his hand, or is that an insult or congratulations? I don't know. "You're older than my mom." That's what he said. So here, after my assignment was over, I went back to the area where they reorganize your trucks, make sure you have all the supplies for the next day. And this is where the net control folks were set up. They were in the Southwest Texas Regional Advisory Council truck. And we'll take you on the inside here in a minute. I had seen this in the morning, but when you leave at 5 o'clock in the morning in your truck, you don't go pounding on the door, just walk in there. This is Texas. You don't know what you'll be greeted with. So I decided to wait until the afternoon to pop in and see who was in the trailer. And so these are the 3 folks, those that have been to the Austin and the San Antonio Handfest, definitely have seen the Kenworthy guy. Yeah, he goes, despite how handicapped he is, that guy goes to everything. And so they afford him luxury of being in the net control center. I forget Olson's name. He's the white-haired guy and his call sign. I can't remember what that is, but he was net control most of the time. And then the other guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Steve something. I have a list here in a minute, but he was the organizer of all of the hams from the San Antonio area, even though he's a former EC for Comal County. So I think I have a list there. So these three folks, the girl standing up is Camellia Jacks. She represents the MS Society. She's from the Houston area. This was her bike ride. She puts on a very good bike ride. Everything is highly organized, and nothing is left undone. The guy in the middle there, I don't know his name, but he's the one that supplied the trailer. So he was San Antonio's contact with those guys. And the guy on the right is from Promoter Line, and they are the logistics company similar to Cadence, which is what we have in the Houston area. Promoter Line does the San Antonio and the Dallas MS-150s. This was the parking lot crew as I arrived on Sunday morning. They told us where to go. And in the evening time, when I got back from my assignment, there were 5 gals on horses, and I thought they'd be there in the morning, so I didn't take their picture. Nope, instead I got these 2 fellas. This was the picture of the trailer that morning as I was going out to my Sunday morning assignment. These are the antennas that they use. Well, I think they only used one, which is the upside down one hanging on the extended mast. I do not know if they used the anything over on the left-hand side or not. This was the layout for my rest stop B at the Bracken Fire Department. This was a brand new rest stop for them. And I was assigned there because they had very strict rules on where you could put your bikes and where you could not put your bikes. And they knew that I wouldn't take any crap. And so I was assigned here. When I showed up, it's very well lit. We could not get into the fire department until 6 a.m. and they weren't kidding. It was 6 a.m. Somebody come out from the building and unlock the gate, and we were able to use it. Then they pulled the truck out, and a couple of the younger guys went around the truck and tested everything for the usual weekly test. And I mean everything. This thing has so many compartments on it, it's crazy. This flips out and folds over and screws in and screws out. It's really impressive to watch them do their work. This was the rest stop. As you can see, there's no bikes. We don't allow bikes, which hacked a lot of people off. What I thought that I had, but I couldn't find it, was some pictures of, we had signs on the fence that said no bikes on the fence. And so they wanted a definition of what the fence was. The riders did. And they don't want to lay their bike down anywhere. They want to stand it up. They had plenty of room in the back to lay it down in grass, but this is a $5,000 bike. I don't care. It's not my rules. It is the post office or the fire department's rules. You have to lay down in the grass. Riders also tend to, as soon as they get inside the bike lay down area, lay their bike down right there. They don't care if the bike lay down area is 100 yards long. They're going to lay it down in the first 6 feet. That way they can block all the other bike riders. And did we police that? No, we did not. They can fight themselves. All I police is the blacktop here. I had my ham radio guy was Ray Miller. He is a former EC, and I think he's a Red Cross guy from San Antonio. And he helped me out a lot with directing the bike riders and putting up signs and taking the signs down and putting up the sandbags on the tents. That man did not sit in his truck at all. Once he got there, he got out and helped, which is sometimes rare for hams. Hams will, depending on the bike ride, hams made, show up in their car, and that's all I'm going to do is sit in my car, and I'm going to be the ham radio person. I'm not going to help you at all. That was the way it was in Albuquerque. We are communicators, not putter-uppers and taker-downers. But this bike ride was completely different. They helped out every which way that they could. Here's a list of the ham radio operators for this bike ride. The top group are the motorcycle marshals, and they were led by John Wieldenthal. You also see Jeff Edwards, K1TAZ. He's the lead motorcycle marshal for the Houston MS-150, and he lives in Lubbock now, and he came in to do the bike ride. He also was in Houston for Bike Round the Bay. You'll see his call sign there as well. He drove in and actually rode the bike instead of being a motorcycle marshal, but he did have his radio on his bike. The middle group is the SAG group. Will Leonard, who is SAG 2 for the Houston event, was in charge of this group. Lee Beesing in 5NTG was the overall coordinator for all of the hams for this event. Marianne Horn was the ham that was assigned to drive around with Tour 1. And then Steve Leibowitz, that's his name, was the guy that was in control of the command center. And then Ray Miller was assigned to my rest stop. And those of you that remember the Shirks, Steve and Susan Shirk, they used to do SAG forever for the Texas 150. They came over there and did lunch, did ham radio. They drove over in the morning, and as soon as their assignment was done, they went back to Houston because Steve had to go to work. Very good group. 1,053 signed up. A little bit behind the scenes information. The week before, or 2 weeks before, there were 775 had signed up. So accounting for the at least 10% attrition that will not show up on the day of the event, they ordered 775 sandwiches. That was not enough. They ran out of food. Although we did have plenty of ice, unlike the Houston ride where we ran out. This event, last I looked, raised $990,000. And it took place, I believe, in all of, it was all in Comal and Guadalupe counties. So Bike Around the Bay, here's a list of the folks that participated in that from the ham radio side. This bike ride had 2 routes. It had two events, 2 separate events. One was called Bike Around the Island, where we had 3 hams participate, 3 SAG hams participate on that side. And this does not show all of the, sorry. This is only the ones that were being tracked. It does not show a list of the hams that worked the rest stops. So this is like 2/3 of a list. I'll do better next time. There are probably a dozen names that are missing. We had 2 net controls, one for Bike Around the Island and one for Bike Around the Bay. Bike Around the Bay this year started at it's back to being called the Houston Raceway Park. If you've been out there recently, it had gotten into deplorable condition. But they have fixed it up. They painted and changed out some stuff, and it's really nice looking now. I think the last couple times we weren't able to use that site. Well, one because of COVID, and for a couple years it was full of water damaged vehicles from Harvey that insurance companies had moved over there, depending on what they were going to do with them. So that was one of the sites that was used for that activity. You can see some of our ham radio buddies down here that drove SAG. And of course, Nathan Vesey, who used to work for the health department, he's not retired. Well, he is retired, but he's not retired from ham radio duty. And the Veseys are going to move to Colorado. I would say in the next, if they're not gone already, by the end of the year. But they will come back for Bike Around the Bay. We also have another SAG person that lives in California. And for the last 3 years, he has spent his own money to come in and drive SAG for Bike Around the Bay. Very, very good, relaxing event. I'd say sign up for it if you get the chance next year. It's a nice, easy bike ride. And that's all I have. Any questions? That's my report, sir and or ma'am.
Sherwin, you are muted. Sherwin, you are still muted.
Yeah, I had to get to another screen to get back to you. Okay, I took these. I'm not as good as Jeff at taking pictures, but I managed to remember I had a camera on my phone the second day. So this is at Moody Gardens, and this is the start of day 2. They started the finish line for day 1. We got a couple of those, and that's looking at the end. What they do for the race on the second day is they split the SAG vans up. They usually put about what, 6 or 7.
Sherwin, if you're sharing, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, okay, hold on, sorry. Let's back up.
There you go.
Okay, that's where I started. So this is the finish line for day 1. So they're leaving from there for day 2. And another, looking up in there, this is that area up there. I can't point it up past the finish line. It's a sort of a turnaround up there. It's a dead end. And then they head out this way, and they split the SAG vans up. I don't remember, Jeff, how many there were, 4 or 5 or 6 at the start. And the rest of them, these are the ones at the start. And we're looking, if you were to turn around and look to your right, that's where the riders are. And this is looking east. So this is the ones that were stationed at the start. And then down the road about 4 miles is what, a Walmart, and the rest Home Depot. I'm sorry, Home Depot. And that's where the rest of the SAG vans were. So they split us up during the start. And that's the other pictures I got that were worth showing. This is the lunch at I forget the name of that park. And you can see my my co-pilot there, Gail, in the foreground.
Maybe Sylvan Beach Park.
Sylvan Beach, does that sound right, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Gail remembers better than I do. Okay, well, that's all I have to add to what Jeff had. George, as I promised you, I got you an intro. It's up to you now.
Well, thank you. Everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing in case you need the screen.
I do not. Everybody here okay?
I can hear you fine.
All right. Well, appreciate the invite, Sherwin and Lee. Thank you so much. I don't have any slides, but looks like Lee is going to be sharing some of the ones that his Life Flight crew took while they were at bird's eye view, so to speak. I also want to say thank you to him for putting the homage to the B-17 crew and to the P-63 crew that so tragically perished at the Wings Over Dallas. That has got the air show community in quite a tizzy, as you might expect. Nothing like this is ever expected, and we're all, I would like just to have y'all keep their families in prayer for sure. So Wings Over Houston 2022, those of you who are listening that volunteered for the air show, you have my thanks as always. Many of the numbers have yet to be crunched. If you would pardon the expression there, we typically will not have our debrief until after the new year. And that's it, particularly because the International Council on Air Shows holds its annual convention the first week or so of December each year. That's when the air shows for 2023 will be built. We will have the United States Air Force Thunderbirds as our guest performers next year, amongst many, many others. As it appears, and again, the numbers have not been crunched, but this was by far the largest two-day crowd that Wings Over Houston has ever experienced. There were I'm going to just say somewhere between 100 and 200,000 people. Don't know how many yet, but we had a few little hickeys that happened early. Move-in day was okay on Wednesday, and I want to thank Fort Bend County for the use of their mobile command center again, as we've been using them for that thing for the last couple, 3, 4, 5 years. So we always want to thank County Judge KP George and their emergency management officials for allowing us that luxury, because it certainly is that. So we moved the equipment in on Wednesday afternoon at about noon. Thanks again to operations crew at Ellington Field for assisting us in that, and the city of Houston. Thursday, we had a relatively easy day, trying to ready the ramp for everything. We had the Blue Angels come in. They did a practice session as they came in, a refamiliarization flight of Ellington Field. We were trying to get as many aircraft in as possible that day. Part of my duty is the assistant to the military air liaison, and I try to help him rope and cone airplanes as they come in. So Thursday was a bit harried because we knew Friday was going to be tenuous at best weather-wise, and it certainly proved to be that. The special show for individuals with special needs was canceled completely, as was the drive-in show for Friday afternoon. We pretty much got washed out of everything. Saturday was an opportunity for the performers to do what we call a low show, because we had 4,500 foot ceilings for most of the day. And so the Blue Angels included all did their low altitude show, which in itself is fun because we get to see the solos a little bit more, and we get to see the diamond up close and personal, rather than in the 10,000 foot loops that they do on a Bluebird day like we had Sunday. So from a ham radio perspective, this was the 37th or 38th annual Wings Over Houston. Ham radio has been a part of that from its inception. And so for that entire time, ham radio has been doing their thing down there. Those hams obviously like playing radio, and they also have an affinity for airplanes and aircraft and things like that. So kind of the best of both worlds. Again, a tremendous crowd. I put in a call to Dr. Alexander, David Alexander today, but he is busy with the Artemis mission. And but he said he has not gotten all of his ducks in a row from all the different sources that he needs to get all collated and compared so that he has his proposal ready for the debrief in January. It was a busy time, even though we didn't have heat as we did last year, where we were running, in excess of 200 medical calls per day due to heat-related illnesses. We did have a few. Wind was blowing rather stiffly, so that even though they're not warm, they don't feel hot. It does dehydrate people if you don't drink enough. So the medical calls were were coming in frequently, most of which were minor. I was not aware of any that were very serious. I'm not aware of any transport that we need to do, that we needed to do. Certainly Lee with the life flight crowd over there at the helicopter, we didn't need their services. Again, next year, we have the Thunderbirds, and we will look forward to having another record turnout. This year was kind of interesting because the Texans were playing at home. The Astros were in the World Series. There was a lot of stiff competition. We didn't have, I know that we had a bike ride to compete against on that weekend, but we still had 70 plus hams that came out to extend their services to the air show. So that was exceptional. It was our biggest recruiting year. I believe we had 48 hams on the field on Saturday and 50 or 52 on Sunday. Those stations, the assignments that we divvy out at the air show are many and varied. For individuals who might need a sitting position, we put those guys at information booths or like at stationary positions like pilot registration or transient air traffic, where the people fly their airplanes in and park them down at the end of the runway near where the air show performers are starting up and fueling. We had seven bicycle mobile ham radio operators riding with medical or riding with HPD or milling about the crowd so that they could get to and from areas where we needed them quickly. We had 22, 23 walking rovers each day. And obviously they're all wearing green Wings Over Houston communicator vests. One of our biggest jobs down there is reuniting families. Kids lose parents, parents lose kids. Each year, the air show gets feedback from the different patrons, air show fans. That is always one of the big things. If you've ever lost a child at a large crowded event like an air show, it is immediate panic on the part of the parents. The kids might not realize they're lost, but the parents realize they're lost. And when we find the kids, obviously the reunions are tearful and joyous. So let's see if there's so from a ham radio perspective, we for the most part pass logistical traffic this year, as in every year there's something different. Last year there was not enough water for the number of people who were there because it was so hot. We had temperatures in the 90s both days, so we were going through water quickly and didn't have enough. This year, because of the bad weather on Friday, they didn't get to move all the porta potties onto the field as they needed to. So we were about 100 porta potties short, and that meant that we were many, many rolls of toilet paper short. So we had the ham radio operators supplying the TP as needed. I walked out of supply with two 12 roll packs of toilet paper under my arms, and that was the most seriously anybody's ever taken me, I promise you. So, but again, from a ham radio perspective, it was great. We had a lot of participation. We had many people who said they would come back. We had a lot of new hams, KI5s, that came back from last year, and they promised to come back again. So we've got a great crew, a dedicated crew that come back year after year after year. And for those of you who have done so in the past and will do so in the future, I thank you very much for your participation. I guess I can take questions if you like.
Yeah. I don't think you did quite well. You explained it pretty pretty succinctly. I really appreciate that, and we're always glad to help.
Well, thanks again, guys. Enjoyed it. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and a joyous holiday to everybody.
Thanks, George. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know it was sort of short notice, but we wanted to get something about it.
No, thank you very much, Sherwin. I appreciate it greatly.
Okay, let's see. Can you see the screen again, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I'm up. Shows you. We had a lot going on in October. We also had a simulated emergency test for South Texas and districts 1 and District 14. Now, for those of you who don't know, District 14 is Harris County. District 1 are all the counties around Harris County that touch Harris County. So that sort of made sense to try to group those together to combine it into this test. What did we have? We had a 2-hour period on the 12th of October. We had a total of 31 participants. And in that 2-hour period, we logged in over 85 reports. And this year we were logging in fuel trucks. We asked everyone to pick a location where they could see traffic, and then they would note the truck, the time it passed, what kind of truck it was, the color of the cab. You know, it's when you set up these exercises, you just sort of pick something that makes sense. Not much else to say about that. Let's see, what else do I have here? We did net control from Transtar in the radio room. That's there's Kirk. He was wondering, working the Winley connection, I believe, weren't you, Kirk? Kirk, are you on?
Also District 1, sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
I'm here.
and District 1 too.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so that's Kirk over in station, I think that is 3. And then Walt took station 1 for a while. This is where we were doing District 14 logins.
We did all of those tests.
And well, and he did the digitals at the end. We only had one digital we had to send off. And then they took shifts. And there's yours truly, and Gail Close was working in the D14 station. So a few pictures there. Thanks to Walt for remembering to take them. Let's see. Jeff, you want to talk about CERT Rodeo coming up?
Sure.
You need the screen?
No.
Well, you got it if you need it.
So I sent a link to the ham radio sign up for this year's event. I believe it's on February I want to say the 15th. I'm drawing a blank right now.
18th.
18th. Thank you. There are the only reason to have the ham radio sign up link is because we have no access to when you sign up for the CERT Rodeo. There's the ham radio folks coordinators have no access to that data, and so we want you to sign up there so that we can easily put your name, your call sign, and your physical ability, which means you know, how much can you walk around, or do you need to sit, or something like that. That way we can copy and paste it instead of retyping everything. That's the whole purpose of that ham radio sign up thing. The other two things we had to fill out a form, those are required. You do not need a wet signature for that, as they call it in the ham radio community. Just fill it out and send it over to that lady, however you can send it over. And if she wants a wet signature, she can get that from you whenever you walk in to sign up, you know, check in, I guess is the right word, that morning.
Are they going to take in those sheets and the morning you check in too? Because they have in the past.
They should, but I don't know. The lady that does that has not attended any of the meetings. I do not know if she will from here on out or not. So I created that fillable PDF. Hope it works. And I gave instructions to download it. Don't try and fill it out as it's on the screen, but download it and then fill it out and save it. Whoever did that, thank you very much. Who did that?
Lee,
Okay, thanks, Lee.
Yo,
And he's probably going to pop up with another one. One thing that is brand new that has not been published is there will not be any food served at the rodeo. They will not feed us this year, so you will have to bring your own food. It is not clear whether they will have, the Red Cross or the Salvation Army passing out coffee. I don't know. They didn't discuss that. Now, or maybe coffee is grouped in with food, but they do not have the budget to feed everybody. Other than that, everything is the same. Well, one other thing that is different. That's not a fillable PDF. Did you get that from me? Maybe, maybe not. That one also should be a fillable PDF. And I know that is my form because it has the number 59 down there in the link.
yeah, this is the link that came in your email.
That should have been fillable. Anyways, we do not have access to the BayCert communications trailer this year. So we'll get the one from Fort Bend County as soon as I make arrangements with them. And I think that is all that has changed. Any other questions?
Is this the one you're talking about, Jeff?
Well, that one is just the one to sign up for the ham radio folks. And I will give access to the spreadsheet that this creates to the other CERT organizers so that they can compare what they have against what they have on the other two forms. But Mary, what's her name, gets all of the forms, and she's the volunteer coordinator. Mary Malloy is her name. Anything else about CERT Rodeo?
what's the time frame for this one this year? Have they decided?
So generally speaking, we want the hams to be there at 7 o'clock, not 6, like John Moore used to do, come wheeling in there at 5:30 and expect to park around the back with Joey Clemens, and he got kicked out every time. Anyway, we want you to get there at 7 because you have almost nothing to set up. The only person that has anything to set up is those that are in the command trailer. Other than that, almost nothing to set up. So 7 o'clock, that gives you an hour before the event starts. And I've been told to make the ending time 5 o'clock because that's what is stated in their general press release. But after the first couple of years, it never went to 5 o'clock. Once they, and of course we won't have, I think we'll have a lunch break, but there will not be lunch provided. And there will also not be breakfast provided.
I do have a question about that, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Besides the lousy hot dogs, what command trailer are you planning on using this year?
From the Fort Bend County has one.
That has been decommissioned.
No.
I heard that the other day from
I don't care what you heard.
Luke. Okay. They told me it was a road hazard and they decommissioned it. They're going to sell it.
Well,
That is true. It is decommissioned and put into a van.
well, Hydro told me different.
Well, they just did the swap over
Yeah.
last weekend.
Yeah.
We removed all the radios from it on November 10th. There are no radios in that trailer.
Okay, well, once I get confirmation from what's his name, then we'll stop with that effort and go to another effort. And it may be that we use the one from Harris County.
Well, yeah, I think you got the mobile office platform, the MOP. I'm not sure if you ever put any antennas on it or not, but they were going to put radios in it. And then they've got also a trailer that you've used, Lee, haven't you? Isn't that where you got the trailer or some Joey?
Yes, I can get the trailer from Joey. They're gonna be using the MOP at the fire tower. So I can get the trailer if necessary, but it does not have gear in it.
It just gives you a sheltered place to sit. You're still gonna have to set up an antenna and radios.
Pretty much.
A question that I have on the goings on inside the command trailer. Do you folks still use the dry erase board that used to be in there? We used to have a dry erase board, and they would have a you could I don't remember if it had magnets or it had Velcro, but you made a little sign that had all the ham radio guys on there, and whenever they moved to assignment number 5, you put their list over there.
That was a
And
Velcro
you put
board.
their, what's that?
I say that was a Velcro board the last several years. And
Right.
we used
So,
to use it.
so
Very helpful.
We
Who
did not
owns-
have that
who
last
has
year,
that?
though. We did not have it last year, though.
Earl, do you know where it is?
I think that was also always brought by, oh, darn it, I lost her name right now.
Christine?
Yeah.
So we lost that then. Okay. So if you would like or know what the materials were made out of, Earl, if you would, since you've done the most in there, would you send me a description of the materials that we need, and we'll recreate it and expense it with the South Texas section?
Will do.
All right. So are you going to participate?
Lie down. Lie down.
We will see.
All right.
After you're done.
That's a definite maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, Jeff, could you get back to me as soon as possible about that trailer? Because if
Sure.
I have to requisition it, it's gonna take some finagling from Joey.
Why don't you just drive over there?
Well, I can, but they don't have it outside anymore. I have the gate code, but I don't have the code to the warehouse. And I don't think they take kindly about me stealing it without letting them know.
All right. Okay.
Jeff?
Yes.
Do you know
Richard?
do you know if they're going to use the TAC repeaters?
I do not know. I've been in contact with Scott. So he's the one that should be arranging that.
Okay, I'm going to take the first step and contact him.
Okay.
I'll do that this weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Do you know if we're actually going to be using repeaters at the site, or are we going to stick with the simplex plan?
Simplex?
That would have been easier, yes. Okay.
All of the TAC repeaters are available if you want to use them.
So I think we just want, Earl, correct me if I'm wrong. We just want the, one of them for talk-in.
That's fine. No problem.
Yeah, that's all we needed the repeater for, really.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'd use the 14728 machine then.
Okay. Everything else will be kind of status quo.
Yeah.
We'll figure out who's going to be in the command trailer eventually.
Okay.
It will not be me. I work the parking lot. Anything else for cert?
Just one thing, Jeff, the 14543 machine is located at Station 39 on 1960 now temporarily. So it is much closer to the
Okay.
fire marshal's office than it was in the past.
Yeah. Well, it's a good repeater where it was, and nobody had any trouble hitting it.
No problem. Just letting you know.
All right.
That it?
That's all that I know of for the CERT rodeo.
Okay.
Last time I looked, we had 13 were signed up.
Comment.
Go ahead, Paul.
Communications from those classrooms in that middle building is iffy at best.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are doing for antennas and that with that simplex system, but yeah, I don't know how you fix it. Something needs to go out outside probably, or an antenna feeding into those classrooms would be nice.
So you've been on from the classroom, did you have a full-blown antenna or did you were using a handheld?
HT.
Yeah,
With,
so probably
with
those need a full-size antenna.
At least, this is true. I didn't have one. I know that others have had problems as well. So
Yeah,
just food for thought.
okay.
I can make a suggestion. We can use the suction cup antenna like I had on the buses for the marathon if you want to put something right at the window. If the
Okay.
window faces the area that you're trying to communicate with.
Yeah. And our incident commander is on our Zoom call tonight. Ben, for the 15th year as the incident commander?
I don't know the number of years, Jeff. Yeah.
But since day one. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It goes back a few years.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, Sherwin, that's all I have for that.
Okay, I've got a couple people that notified me they wanted to talk about some stuff. Lee, Gasper, are you on?
Obviously, if my Zoom channel's still open. Or you're talking about Houston Marathon, Lee?
Yes.
Yes, Lee, there you
Yes.
are. Go for it.
We have a conflict of leaves. Well, I appreciate all the listening in to all the commotion that happened in October. At least I don't feel like the Lone Ranger, feeling like I was it was the only guy feeling a little bit like I was thrashing around doing too much. So anyway, the Houston Marathon is coming up, and there's some activity that we're trying to get started. So if you can start spreading the word that we need volunteers, that'll be good. I sent out a letter of invitation, I think, to about roughly 130, 150 people who've volunteered for the marathon for the last 2 or 3 years. So anyway, but if you do have some new members and things like that, a good place to start if they just need to have a simple way to get into the process, and I'll give them more guidance later on, is Peter Belbin's hmhams.org site. It'll at least get them in and put them on my radar, and I can follow up with, you need to register for the official marathon site, and here's how you do it. So anyway, I appreciate that. I talked a little bit with Sherwin this afternoon, trying to get some stuff done. I have reached out, and Ben is assisting me in trying to make some physical corrections or physical additions to the Office of Emergency Management. Our Unified Command Center is hosted primarily out of the City of Houston's Emergency Center. And so some of the difficulties is that they have one antenna and one piece of coax, which makes it a little bit difficult. So I'm looking for solutions on how to get that remedied and provide some communications to there. We will also have a net control station down at the GRB. And as in the past, we've had stood up a post at the TransStar also for communications. So anyway, that's kind of the background for net control. Rick Broussard right now is working at trying to figure out which repeaters that we need to assist and utilize for the works of the marathon. So that's in the process. I'm trying. They've shuffled the deck on me as far as for who's doing what in the marathon committee. We've now been parceled out to about 5 or 6 guys who all have different beats, different agendas, and different drummers to march to. So I'm still trying to get documentation. I know KJ Anderson, Jason Nolan, and Keith Klimple, pardon me if I'm butchering names, had volunteered to help me transform some of the marathon gobbledygook into incident command structure documents, and to be able to document a proper response to some incidents. So that's in the process. I just hadn't gotten enough to pass a load of information to there. So anyway, that's kind of a status on that, but I appreciate the support. And if any of you feel so compelled to volunteer, please do so. I know some of you have volunteered year after year. It wouldn't hurt my feelings to have you volunteer sooner than later. So anyway, that's kind of a thumbnail sketch, Sherwin. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I'd like to make one comment. I know that some of you are working on your Oxcom tasks books. And what Lee is trying to do with converting their documentation over into an ICS format, that is an item that would be signable on a task book. So if any of you guys who've taken all the courses, you should know how to fill out a 201, 205, etc. Want to help them with that, Lee or I can sign you off on that as incident commanders. Or I can do it as a DEC, but he can do it as an incident commander. So pass the word to any of those people you know that are working on their Oxcom task books and have them get in contact with Lee if they want to help. That's all I have to say, Lee.
All right, thank you very
I got
much.
a question for Lee. The link that you got to us via email leads us to the volunteer sign up page. What specific category should a ham mainly sign up for?
Well, okay, so there are actually two links. One of them is to Peter Belman's site, which you tell me your radios and things like that and your preference. The other one, I've got some categories. And so the magic thing when you go there, you put your calls, if you put your email in, if you've ever done it before, it'll send you back a link and with all your information filled up where you can start from what they know about you already. The magic thing, there's a shift. When you get down to shifts and they listed 900 things you can sign up for, there's a blank box on the right side. Type in HAM. The ham is actually a kind of a hidden group because it's one of those things that I didn't need to vet 5,000 people who signed up there thinking it was a neat thing to do. But anyway, if you'll type in ham, HAM, and what it will do is then display the shifts. But essentially, I've got some net control stations. I've got course monitors, and that'll be divvied up between the medical stations and course positions. There's a race official shadows, and one other one. The SAGs I discontinued this year. We're not riding SAG buses. It's something that isn't particularly good. Keep on going down a little bit further. Let me see here. Get my screen up big enough where I can see. Keep going down a little bit, please. There you go, ham, right there. So when you fill out that, you'll see there's got one for Saturday and one for Sunday, and it's a matter of clicking the box, and it'll pick the sign up. So there should be, like I said, four choices there. And so anyway, people like Jeff Walter has been doing this, 10, 15 years at least, hanging with the guys coming in. So it's the shift assignment selection is the one that will get you the hams by putting in ham. You can go to the marathon webpage and go to the volunteer click and get to this form indirectly, or you can click the link that I have that'll get you right there. So, and one of the guys told me there wasn't a red register button. It's a red save button. So I failed to update my my instructions, but thankful to the old system programmers that have to deal with hexadecimal codes to spot an error that I've failed to update when they updated the website this year. Any other questions?
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you very much.
And we got one other person, Gail Close, the net coordinator for the Houston area MCOMnet needs to make an announcement.
We have a couple of scheduling changes for the Houston area hospital MCOM team network. First of all, there's going to be a set track off the grid drill on December the 15th that we will participate in. And there'll be more information about that coming soon. We just learned about that today. And secondly, we will not have the regular monthly check-in on the last Sunday of the month because that is the 25th of December and nobody wants to do that on Christmas. So we will use the off the grid drill as our training for the month of December. That's it.
But you still have one for November.
Yeah, we still have November, which is this coming Sunday at 6:30 as usual. And we'll repeat the advisories on scheduling during that net too.
Any questions?
Any questions about that? Okay, sure one's up.
Well, I'm back. Unless anyone else has other business, that's it. We got done in an hour.
Hey, Sherwin, just one thing. It's Kevin McCoy, KF5 FUZ from Red Cross.
Yeah, Kevin.
Reaching out to you and Wayne regarding, we can do it offline. We don't have to do it here, but I'd like to hear back from you guys about the any activities you're planning for the Thursday Thanksgiving parade sponsored by HEB, which I believe is falls in Wayne's area.
I have not heard of anything. No one has reached out to us asking for any kind of amateur radio support.
Okay.
Unless someone else knows something. That's City of Houston, isn't it?
Yes.
I would expect City of Houston's got the police and everyone else mobilized for that.
Yes, sir, they do. And we're in touch with the EOC. It's just, I've got a couple of operators that are going to be out there and I wanted to coordinate frequencies just to make sure that we didn't step on each other, or if we needed to reach out to you, then I knew where you were going to be.
Nothing that I know of, unless a request has come from somewhere else.
All right, thank you so much. Then, I've got your.
Something comes up, get in touch with me. You can take it offline or whatever, but right now
Yes,
I
sir.
know of nothing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Oh, anyone check the chats? Jason says, Jason, I'm gonna have to find you again because you just went away. SetTrack is holding a ham and a day guided study on December 15th. Jason, I'd suggest you send that out to District 14 to everybody. Let them know what the details are.
I will. I've been sending that out and I'll continue to do so.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
So who's teaching that, do you know? Alfred?
Yes, Alfred, thank you.
Okay, because I'd heard he moved out of town, so he's back, huh?
He is definitely doing this.
Okay, well, good deal. Yeah, send that out so everyone, it's better in writing so they can grab it and pigeonhole it or put it in their calendar or whatever.
Happy to. Thank you.
Anything else for everybody? Well, I appreciate you all coming in. And I don't think I have anything else to show. The normal stuff that I'm not going to show. That's none of this is different. You all have seen it before. And thank you all for calling in and volunteering. And I'm going to log us all for an hour tonight. I'll stand by for about 5 minutes in case anyone else has anything going on. You all have a good Thanksgiving. Safe driving if you're traveling or flying, and enjoy your family. With K5 SEK 73.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sherwin?
Yo.
Hi, Paul Smith. I may not have made myself clear when we were talking about repeaters and simplex channels for the CERT rodeo. In years past, it was virtually impossible to hear most of the HTs that were out in the field from those rooms. But the repeater was always pretty clear. And so if we voted, I would vote for a repeater over a simplex system. Just my 2 cents.
Well, I did some tests. Now, it's been a few years ago, and I was a UHF repeater, I believe, that I tested from inside those rooms, and I had no trouble getting out on UHF.
Well, VHF is all I've ever used in there. I've had a tough time. I've had to run out to the front door, which is not good for my bad knees.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, if we're going to go simplex, I would try UHF. I'd experiment with UHF and give it a try too.
I'm not close, so I can't do that. But yeah, however you guys want to set it up. I just wanted to kind of make myself clear.
Yeah, Richard, are you ever
I was trying to say, we've had to move the UHF repeater a little bit farther away. Station 29 has been demolished, isn't in the current, and they have no power on that site. They're rebuilding it now, so we're farther away, but we're not that far away for the UHF machine. It's on Station 39's tower at about 100 and some odd feet. Okay.
Yeah. I was thinking, when I did the test, it was with a repeater, so I can't talk about it, but about a simplex test. But I think I would try a UHF simplex test with someone sitting out there about where that command trailer usually sits.
Well, if we need to, we can do a couple of things. We can test it sometime. When you all have some time, let me know, okay? And we can go out there and test. And I'm more, and I don't know if you ever saw the bus antennas that I used on the buses with the suction cups.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I call them, I had some too. I've got one called the lint noodle.
So if they have an open window, we can put a suction cup antenna on the outside window.
It seemed well, number one, that window does not face where the trailer usually sits.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. But that's the reason I was thinking set up a UHF. You get out there with a car or something other with a 50-watt UHF and have someone walk inside and see if they can talk.
Yep.
Yeah, it's almost.
I'll help however I need to do.
Who's organizing this? Is Jeff gone already? Looks like he is. I would guess that we need to coordinate this with Jeff. I'm not sure. He's handling communications this year.
This is Dominic. I have a possible suggestion. It's use one of the in that building. It's use one of those mini mobile units that's 10 and 25 watts. If you had a mini mobile unit with one of those with a pizza pan at 10 watts, you should be able to hit the comm trailer.
I have no trouble generally getting out if hearing anything coming in. That's the problem. I don't know if those windows in those classrooms open or not, so I don't know if we can run a line through there.
I'm pretty sure they don't. I've been in there, looked at them. They're sealed windows.
I don't think so either. And the third thing that I wanted to mention was the possibility you guys might want to try to get set up in one of those classrooms and run a crossband repeater, possibly.
Yeah. But I think.
Yep, that can be done too. Just let me know what you want to do, gentlemen. Although I do like the KISS idea.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, when I played with the UHF before they moved that repeater, I was having no trouble getting in and out on that repeater. But I've never tried UHF simplex from in there.
Well, if I work it this year, I will try to bring a better antenna than I had. So maybe that'll solve the problem.
My portable station for the MS-150, I've got a 20-foot mast with a VHF UHF antenna on it.
So do I, but I don't know how to hook it up.
What?
In there.
Oh no, I was talking about parking that out where the trailer is. But for this test, all we need, like I say, is a car that's got a dual band rig in it with 50 watts, and then someone walk in with walkie-talkie and see.
Okay, well, I'm going to take off. You guys have got my inputs. That's all I know.
Now Paul, are you involved in that at all this year? Are you talking to Jeff?
Say that again.
Paul, are you involved with helping Jeff set this up?
There's something going on in the background that's,
Someone's making a noise. Let me try again. Are you talking to Jeff about setting up the communications? Dom, Dom just muted.
yeah, talk to Jeff about what?
Are you helping him with setting up the communications?
For the CERT rodeo?
Yes.
No, I'm not involved.
Okay.
I'm just, from my history and involvement back there in those classrooms, it's always been problematic.
Yeah. I was a COMT one year, and that's the reason I was running the test. But like I said, that was with the UHF repeater before they moved it.
Yeah. All yours, my friend. Y'all have fun.
Okay.
Take care.
Anyone else? I'm gonna bail off.
So Sherwin, just briefly then, since you guys are not directly involved in the parade, if something did happen and we needed to reach out to you from your set list of frequencies, would we be using the one for the Southwest quadrant, or we would just use the countywide?
I would say stick to the countywide or the 145.17 repeater, which is usually the hospital income net, but they won't be using it that day.
Okay.
Those two are very strong. At 145.170, we get people all the way from Montgomery County to Galveston EOC.
Okay.
Now, the problem you have downtown is you get the building shadows, and sometimes you can get blocked out even though you're right below the antenna.
Understood.
So that may be the situation where you may have to try something further away, but I don't see an easy way around that one, because those buildings, with the shadows of buildings, you're not going to get every direction every time.
Understood. Well, we'll have a primary and a secondary in between those two. Hopefully, one will work, and let's hope we don't need it.
Yeah, I would probably stick to those two. In my opinion, those are the ones that are the strongest in the county.
Okay.
If there was one off-site that I was going to say we could use, would be the BP repeater, but right now he's under a handicap. He's got a temporary antenna upstairs on the roof inside of a building, and it's not doing too good. But that one is one I've talked to all the way from Navasota. But I don't think they've got, they're doing roof work or something other, and they don't have their permanent antenna back up yet.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Question, Sherwin. How come y'all never used the 146.84 repeater?
No reason, really.
I mean, that has as good a coverage as 1.7, actually.
Where is it located, roughly?
Same place.
Same place?
Yep.
Okay, well, that'd be a good one. That's on my list for a wide area net. We're going to try it one weekend. The Wayne and I'm trying to think of the other guy's name. Rumsfeld?
Lance,
I
right.
suggested we try a couple of the other repeaters on a wide area net and rotate amongst them to test them out.
Right.
Yeah, we'd also like to, if it's a situation like that, you want one that, there's some chance that people are on it.
Yeah, well, the 147.000 is in the emergency communications plan as the district-wide primary go-to frequency, and then if we have to split things off, each of the units has their primary repeater to go to. For instance, the BP repeater, if I'm not mistaken, it used to be the primary for Southwest unit. I don't know if it still is while they're having these problems, but it was before.
The last time I looked, they were running off of the 9.4.
Okay, well,
for their nets.
Yeah, they were having troubles, like you said. But the nice thing about the BP and the 145.170 and the 147.000, the other thing is we know they're on emergency power.
Yeah,
Dave, is the .84 on emergency power?
David, you're
muted. It's on the same circuit as the other repeaters.
Okay, so it's got the same emergency power as 170 then. So that's some of the considerations we look at.
Cool. All right.
Anything else, guys? You all have a good Thanksgiving.
Back at you. Great. Happy Thanksgiving all.
Yeah. Bye-bye, guys.
Thanks for playing.